You are now tuned in to Master of My Own Fate TV with yours truly, Big Brother Bull. Well, the prerogative of this channel is to help the respective athlete, citizen, parent, coach become a better version of themselves. Because in the end, we all working together, right? I wanted to talk to my student athletes out there, and you might be on a professional level too. Coaches are not your God. It's not the end all be all, right? But unfortunately, there's politics involved, and it translates into everyday life as well. In any organization you partake in, there is a architecture to it. There's a structure. There's a hierarchy, right? And there are those that have control, and there are those that do not. In my personal experience, I've played football. I've participated in a lot of sports, but in particular football, I've done that from the time I was 5 to 25 years old, right? So I've participated on every level. I've had a variety of coaches. Rarely did I stay with a same team constantly. I shifted around quite a bit. I went to 2 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools. I played at like 4 different parks throughout my, Little League career. I didn't always have coaches that really knew what they was doing, especially at the younger level. Until you get to college, majority of your coaches, there's no telling what their background is when it comes to your particular sport. Usually it's individuals that either have a lot of time on their hands or, former players that might not even have made it to the collegiate level, And if you haven't made it to those levels, the chances of you really knowing, in-depth techniques and details and strategies and etc. are going to be slim to none, just to keep it a bill, right? But at the same time, these individuals are in charge and in control to a large percentage of your future, and where you can potentially land in the larger scope of things, right? So when you have these type of individuals being the overlord over your future, it's not wise to rub them the wrong way, even when you can tell they don't necessarily know what they might be doing, or they might not, care about your perspective in the larger scope of things. Because in the larger scope of things, they got an organization to run, blase, blase, blase. At the same time, that can make them overlook, certain details, key details, right? At the very least, they ain't gonna be worried about an individual's, one individual out of many, their personal experiences. Unless you're a star player, top performers get their way majority of the time. They do. Me personally, I'm the type of person that was raised in the church. So like I already had certain relational dynamics as it comes to authority figures, right? And at the same time, I always was taught you get more with honey than vinegar. You catch more bees with honey than vinegar, right? So I wasn't really combative, As I gotten older and starting to see certain psychological plays, it did trigger me though. It made me upset, and it takes a real man, and a man by definition in this circumstance is someone that's not swayed by their emotions. They're still stoic when they triggered emotionally, right? But it take a man to really be triggered by somebody, and the range that coaches can go to kind of like disrespect you to get their point across. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's just a constant, especially as you climb higher and higher. The respect level don't become better. and especially when you get to the point where they paying you bread, you are a walking commodity, you and they mind you purchased. You feel me? So with that dynamic, everybody has to decide what their respect level is. I'm going to tell you, if you want to make it the furthest, you're going to have to bite the bullet on a lot of those encounters, and even if you ain't rocking with how the coach is going about certain things, it's not wise to challenge them, especially in front of others, in front of other teammates, in front of other coaches, because it's a hierarchy. And that's going to trigger them. And when a man is triggered, they're going to go in defensive mode, and you never know what they might do. A lot of people in power these days, they didn't have power at another point in time, and it's human nature to abuse power, or go the extra mile, way further than they need to be going, But that coach, like one in particular, in my experience, could be the difference between you going pro or you not, or they can be a deciding factor in how soon you were selected when you go pro, and life truly isn't fair. So you got to strategize every increment of your ascension up that path to the professional level. Like, everything really counts. That's why I preach you gotta really be aware of what's going on, all of the internal and external dynamics, so you can make the right choices. And those accumulations of right choices over time, or premeditated choices over time, is going to equate to your success, man. I'm living proof. There's areas where I ain't even gonna say no wrong or right. There's just areas I could have, did things a little different. So this is just me sharing a little game, a little wisdom. And especially as a young melanated brother, you feel me? I know what our community, where we can critique ourselves to become better, to get better results as a whole, and those different internal blockades that stop us from reaching the peak of success, not just having a taste of it, but really getting to lay back and sit back in success, sustain success. That's the goal of Mastermind Faith TV. And again, this translate way past just sports. It's all dynamics, man. From organizational to whatever, family dynamics, associate dynamics, you got to know the people that you laboring amongst. You got to know their ticks. You got to know what make them feel good. You might say bull isn't intentionally making somebody feel good to get what you want manipulative, and I say it might be, but guess what? At the expense of what? Who did you hurt to make somebody feel good, to pass along positive energy, to potentially get what you want? Who did you hurt? And again, it's strategy, and there's many out here, and that's one that doesn't involve hurting anybody. Yeah. So with that being said, man, and again, it's different levels of coaches. When you find, you're gonna have different ones. You're gonna be able to tell the ones that know what they're doing and the ones that really don't. At the same time, they still have positions of power, and you been in your circumstance as an athlete, you ain't never in a position of power unless you are a star athlete, right? You gotta pay the cost to be the boss. Even with that being said, man, that don't give you full reign to do literally whatever you want, but you can get away with more. Truly, performance is king. I've seen individuals who could barely read, make it to, where I was just because they were that fire of a player. until they were on a level with other players who was just as fire or even more fire, and then that's when you get exposed. And my next segment might be players that are more than exceptional at a certain level, and take those characteristics of only handling business in one area, not handling business in another, and going to that next level, and then falling short or being exposed because they wasn't handling the totality of their business. But, be that as it may, establish a vision for yourself. You with a coach, a couple hours a day. Other than that, you should be looking for other ways to perfect your craft and your game, not just relying on the coach. That's when you really become a master of your own fate and a master of your craft, whatever it may be, and they call that intrinsic motivation, so y'all young bulls, keep that in mind as you continue to be great out here, and make your mark in the world. You will actually do greater things than just athletics. As it relates to that, build your brand and premeditate your retirement. Plan for the future so that you can make the appropriate choices going forward and not just live for the moment. But other than that, man, continue to be great. Continue to be the master of your own fate. This is Bull.